Hello, welcome to another episode of Art 1-to-1. And as usual, today we have a very special guest in our studio, and he's none other than Deepal Sooriyaarachchi. Welcome to Art TV, sir.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And he's no guest, he's no stranger to all our viewers, as he is the main resource person for our Inward Bound for a Mindful Living program series. He's a multifaceted corporate personality. But more than anything, today he is here with us to discuss about his upcoming book launch, and it has a very interesting title. I would like him to introduce the title to you.
It's called Living Together.
Yes, that's a very interesting and it triggers many a thought when you say living together. And can you tell us what the title or what the book is about, as well as you can discuss briefly about the launch as well?
Yes, first about the launch, it will be on the 12th of September at 5:30 at PIM, that is Postgraduate Institute of Management, Borella, and it's organized by the PIM itself. And this book is about living together. Though we have evolved as a society, instead of learning how to live together, we seem to be going back on how to live in our little small areas. And we tend to identify always ourselves with something bigger, like for example your school. I am from this school, therefore my school is the best, so we have like, and then your ethnicity, your language, your place of work, all these things, the brands you use and all these things. And religion is also one very powerful factor that we use to identify ourselves with. And this has also created a lot of divisions in the world, and religions strengthen our own identity, and at the same time it tend to disregard your identity. So through sheer coincidence, in 1984 I got an opportunity to join an experiment group who were trying to see what happens when you put people from different faiths to live together for a limited period while practicing each other's religion very intimately. I say sheer coincidence because I haven't formally learned religion other than what I learned in school, and I am not a member of any Buddhist organization or anything like that. But somehow this happened, and then this was organized by some group of people in Germany, and the model is you bring people from different faiths, and you are expected to practice your own belief while trying to understand the other person's practice from his point of view. Right. And this took me to number of countries in the world. We met more than 15 times over a period of 20 years. And we met in India in a Hindu background, in Pakistan in Islamic background, and in Indonesia in a Bali island in the Hindu Buddhist background, and in Japan in a Zen and Christian and a Shinto kind of backgrounds, and then in Europe in Christian and Catholic backgrounds. And we had some encounters with Jewish people and things like that. Now, I was doing this like a part-time thing, while I am doing that, all the other people were very, very senior people like theologians, priests, and people. So when I was going through this experience, year on year, it gave me a lot of insights about myself and life. And I have been always wanting to share this with a wider audience, and finally I have been able to do that. That's the book, Living Together.
Yes, and I believe it's quite apt and timely that you launched this book in a period where even in Sri Lanka we are facing a lot of problems, a lot of challenges when it comes to living together with people from different creeds. And I think it is quite timely because now this is not only affecting our social order but as the corporate world as well. Now you being a personality, a person who comes from a very corporate kind of a background, how do you see these religious differences affect the business world?
Yeah, that's a very good point you raise, and I always say living together is good for business. uh, See, what happens is I see two very, very important dimensions. Number one, at a social level, when we do not know how to live together, and when we view each other with suspicion, and when religion is used to divide people, it can even lead to social suspicion and even violence. We have seen it several times. And the first casualty of this is business, right? Because it is a business that get disrupted, it is the businesses sometimes get attacked, and all these things. And unfortunately, the only business that thrives on people's strong identity with religions is so-called democratic political system. Because to win elections, you need your competitive advantage, how big is your block vote. Now, block votes can be created by using some of these identities, like your ethnicity, like your religion, and unfortunately still in Sri Lanka even the caste, right? And so then they liked, that is the only business that benefits from this, right? Otherwise it's. Secondly, we are naturally gifted with people from different faiths in this country, and they tend to look at things from a different point of view sometimes, and that's a very good diversity factor that can be used for business advantage. And it is a known factor that when people with diverse viewpoints converge, and there comes innovations and a greater strength. And because of this stereotyping, right, we don't even leverage the diversity that is within our workplaces that can give greater synergy. So these are the two main reasons, right? One is at the social level, the other one is at the business level, where when we don't do that. And fourthly, what I am trying to articulate in this book is this whole process of dialogue that we had with other people. I realized there are a lot of deep lessons we can learn that can influence our entire way of doing things with each other, right? A greater insight on how I relate to you, how my prejudice prevents me listening to you honestly. And I think some of those lessons are very, very important in improving interpersonal interactions and at a very operational level. But having gone through this experience, of course, it was far deeper than that, at more spiritual level, trying to comprehend why the other person is doing something and to see it from his point of view, because if I don't do that, then how can I understand you? How can I respect you? It is a major challenge that I went through, and it is not common and it is not easy for many to go through what I went through. Not that many people will get this opportunity, and even if you get the opportunity to continue to take part in a program for about 15-20 years is not something possible. I was very fortunate. So, therefore, what I have tried to do in this book is not to give any conclusions, but to take you with me along the same journey. So, the places I visited, the people I met, what are the discussions we had, and what are the kind of tensions, problems we encountered. So, I want you to go through with me in this journey and come to your own conclusions. So, I am not giving any conclusions or recommendations or recipes, but I invite you to walk along with my journey.
So, sir, if we may have quite a sneak peek into the book and into this journey that you spoke about. Now, as you said, you have lived with people from different faiths, different religious backgrounds, and have you ever met people or communities who have had such conflicts as Sri Lanka is facing now, and who have come out of it, and who have healed themselves in the process, and also reconciled with each religion, and who have in a wholesome way approached this entire issue? Have you met any communities of that sort?
Actually, the whole idea of this dialogue, interreligious living dialogue, was is coming from a retired Lutheran priest called Reinhard von Kirchbach, and his approach or his conceptualizing of this dialogue model was because in countries, especially in Europe, you are compelled to live with people from different religions and different countries. So, like for example, tomorrow you find your neighbor is from a completely different country, and as a result, the eagerness to learn each other's belief system is far greater than here. So, this gentleman at the age of 73 went to Cambridge to learn English, so that he can communicate with people from different countries, different faiths, from different parts of the world, and went around the world picking up participants who can join in this experiment. And so, more than seeing how they did that, I think what we discovered was what are the deep rooted issues that contributes to conflicts, right? And for example, how something which is very good on one side be completely different on the other side. For example, when we lived in Pakistan, every evening we used to pick paddy seeds from rice, mixed together, because the rice was not completely stone and raw paddy free. And all these paddy seeds we used to give to a little chicken that was growing in the compound. So, one day our host, who is a sheikh, Islamic clerk, and he said, today I have prepared a very good halal preparation for you, right? Because I am sure, because I am the one who slaughtered this bird. Now, for him it is giving something very pure, right? But coming from a Buddhist background, for me it was very difficult to eat. Now, in Japan we had to work in a place where we had to kill bugs one by one in the paddy field, because in that paddy field they do not use fertilizer, but you would go from plant to plant, kill all the bugs. Now, for me it was difficult to do that, but my Hindu friend, partner, he said, well, what I am doing is I am releasing this bug from the bug life to a bigger life. Now, can you see, in simple situations like that, people from different faiths look at the whole thing from different things. So, when you understand that your viewpoint is different to my viewpoint, that is the beginning of living together. And now, having lived this experience, if you ask me what happened to me, I would say two things. One, in these interactions, I was like a bamboo tree which is firmly rooted in my ground, but I can bend all the way to the ground to touch the ground. I can go all the way maximum possible, but I come back to my root. That's one way that I can explain one experience. The other thing is, for example, how would I treat your faith, your belief? The way to explain is, supposing I come to your home and you give me some glass ornament, and you say, Deepal, this has been coming down from 3 generations and it's very important. How will I handle it? I will handle it with lot of respect, lot of care. I think that's the kind of attitude I must have with your belief, because it is so sacred to you, so special to you. So if we can have this kind of sensitivity, we will try to understand each other. And once you understand each other, it's okay for you to have a different view. Right? You may not see the things the way I see, because eventually I always see it from my point of view. That's what happens. But then I understand you also view it from my point of view. I think this is the kind of deep insights that I have tried to elicit from this journey, and you see the same things are so relevant to your day-to-day life, to your business world. How much time we get completely how do I call it, dislodged in communications because I don't want to appreciate your point of view. I think my point of view is the only point of view. No, there are multiple points of view.
Wonderful, wonderful. And also, sir, I would like to ask you now, you have written many books, many titles, and I think around 15 or 16 titles across various subjects. Now, in relation to all these books, all these titles, how will you position this new book, and how do you see this book? And also, I'm pretty sure that across the couple of decades, you also have changed and evolved as a person, and as a result, these titles are coming out. So how would you position this particular book?
Well, yes, I have written a large number of books in Sinhala called Sinhala in Business, that is giving management thoughts in simple Sinhala. Then I have touched upon Buddhism related topics in books like Inward Bound for Mindful Living, and an index to Pansipanas Jataka, and have written some little travelogues. So this is a bit of a travel journey and a bit of my life also. As you said, when I go through myself the book, I realize how I have evolved, because when I took the opportunity to join this experiment, I was only 24, and all the others were in their 60s and 70s. You can imagine, I am a very, very small, tiny tot in that. But I was fortunate they recognized me for some reason and continued to invite me, and I became a co-member eventually. And I'm very happy that 2 of them are coming all the way, one from Germany, the other one from India, and another person from England is trying to get his flights. He might also come if possible. So they are coming just because I have been contributing to this whole experiment, and I have evolved myself. And in my life, this particular experience or series of experience, I would consider one of the most important influences that has impact on my worldview and my being on this, because it broadened my horizons tremendously. Just imagine at 24, you get a chance of discussing, listening, and being able to participate in a highly intellectual thing and a highly spiritual experience. And yeah, I was very blessed because from all faiths I have got amply blessed by people from very, very deep spiritual content.
Wonderful and amazing, and I myself am very inspired to get hold of the book as soon as possible, and I believe and I know that all our viewers will be hoping to get hold of this wonderful book, Living Together. It's an amazing story. It's going to be an incredible story of a one man's experience, life defining experience spanning 2 decades, and it's very timely, quite apt, very important at this juncture, especially in the context of Sri Lanka when it comes to living with different ethnicities and different religious backgrounds. And also, sir, what would you like to tell our viewers concluding the program? What's the message that you want to give to our viewers?
Living together is the only way.
Wonderful, wonderful, sir. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for coming all the way to Art TV. It was wonderful having you.
Thank
and
you.
We hope you had a wonderful time listening to our discussion as well. We will meet again on another episode with Art 1-to-1. Thank you.